good morning, good evening, or good afternoon to my panel teachers. So today I will be discussing about my fourth year project presentation, that is design of a cold storage. So let's get into it. So at first I will start with introduction, that is why cold storage is being used. That we most of us know that cold storage is being used for preserving the foods and food grains or any kinds of vegetables or fruits for to have a larger shelf life as compared to normally when it is being kept over in normally in open. Making a designing a cold storage is nothing new, but the fact which is new is making a cold storage which is small and which can be used by 6 to 10 farmers, and so that they can be self-reliant, as well as they don't have to dependent on other facilities. So let's get into the next slide. Now in this we will be discussing about the progress that we have done on the previous semester. So the previous semester, what we have mainly done main three things. First is storage product. It means the products which need to be stored in our facility. So for different kinds of products, the calculations are different. We are going with apples and lychees. Previous semester we have collected the information and about the shelf life as well as the properties of these fruits, so that they can be stored over the facility. Then we have also done with the heat transfer rate. In order to have the certain amount of cooling over the total facility, we need to get to know that how much amount of heat transfer is being going on over the total area. So how the heat transfer would be getting in place. So from ceilings, walls, and all these ways there will be heat transfer, as well as heat transfer through bulbs, ceiling fans, and many other objects placed over inside the total facility. As well as there will also be heat transfer through the grains or fruits or vegetables throughout the time that it would be stored over the place. So it's a vital thing that we need to get the heat transfer rate. Now coming to the tonnage of the cooling. Now the third thing that we have calculated, that is how much tonnage of cooling that is needed over the total facility, so that a certain amount of temperature is being constant over the total time all the vegetables and the fruits that is being stored over the place. In this slide I will be discussing about present semester's scenario which we have done. So first we will be discussing about the refrigerant cycle and a little bit of analysis regarding that to our project. Now coming after that, we would be discussing about how to calculate the location of the points which over the total cycles, whether it's HS diagram or a TS diagram, we need to locate the different points on the cycle. So how we would locate those points. Then after that we would be calculating about the COP, as well as the work done by the total cycle, as well as the refrigeration effect. So which we need to have at least 6 tons. So besides refrigeration effect, we also need to calculate that the mass flow rate of the refrigerant. That is very much vital in order to calculate the rest of the parts of the total refrigeration system. So after that we will be designing the components. As I have told, the rest of the parts the rest of the parts we will be designing, such as the compressors, the condenser, evaporators, the throttle valve. Okay, and after that one of the most important thing, that is the duct system design. So that would also be discussed.
Good morning, myself Ansh Kumari. My friend Preetham already discussed about the overview of project, and now I am going to discuss more about it. To do the design calculation of cold storage, first we need to know the refrigeration cycle on which cold storage will work. Why is it important to know about the refrigeration cycle? Because it is our main objective. Refrigeration is the process of maintaining low temperature in the storage space as compared to the surrounding. Cold storage is works on the VCR cycle, that is vapor compression refrigeration cycle. The cycle mainly consists of 4 components, that is evaporator, compressor, condenser, and expansion valve. Here evaporator and condenser is the heat exchanger, where heat exchanger evaporator is the heat exchanger that is attached in the system, and the condenser is the heat exchanger which is attached in the surrounding. Here the refrigerant flowing in the evaporator extract heat from the storage space at constant pressure, and then it is sent to the compressor to compress it isentropically, where the vapor which is formed after extracting heat from the storage space is compressed, and the temperature and pressure of it increases, and the high temperature and high pressure refrigerant goes to the condenser, where it at constant pressure reject the heat, and then it flows to the expansion valve, where it expand and again go to the evaporator to follow the same process. Here we are using two-stage compressor, as staging of compressor will result in reduction in work done to compress the vapor, and it will also prevent mechanical problem, as a mechanical problem will be faced when single stage compressor will be used, because there the temperature of the refrigerant will be high. Now here we are using ammonia as the refrigerant. Since we are using ammonia as refrigerant, so ammonia attack copper, so we can't go for copper tube. We need to go for wrought iron as the material of construction. We were now coming to the next slide. Here it shows the plot between pressure and enthalpy and temperature and entropy, with the help of which we have calculated the COP of the cold storage, and we were supposed to do the fabrication of model of cold storage by the VARS system, which is vapor absorption refrigeration system, to utilize the maximum, to utilize the waste heat, and the VARS system is almost similar to the VCRS system. Just the difference is that in place of compressor, absorber, pump and generator is used in the VARS system. But due to this pandemic outbreak, we were not able to do the fabrication. So now the further slide will be discussed by my team members. Thank you.
Now, in order to calculate the properties of the points on the pH and TS diagram, we need specific charts and tables. So first we need ammonia. First we need ammonia saturated vapor and liquid table. For that, we would track down the points such as 1, 5, 6, 7, 8 points, and lastly we need the superheated vapor table for 30 degrees Celsius saturation. That is from that we would track down 4 dash and 2 points. Now to get the calculations done, two types of way out that we can use. First, that is by using the thermodynamic properties, that is S2 is equals to S3 plus ln T2 divided by T3, and the another is S2 is equals to S3 plus Cp into T2 minus T3, and the other way is a bit simple but time consuming. So the second way is we need only one property of the point, and with the help of that one property we would trace down the other properties. So how we'll do that? From first, suppose we have got the entropy of a point. We have already got entropy of a point. Now with the help of that entropy of the point, we will trace down that similar entropy which value is being matched with that entropy over the entire chart and over the entire tables. Now after being that is why I have said it is a bit time consuming, as we have to trace all the charts and all the tables which is available. So among the two processes, we have merged both the processes. together, and we have used both the processes hand by hand in order to calculate our points and all the properties of the specific points. So what we have done is we have calculated all the points from with the help of thermodynamic properties, but in order to recheck the values whether we have get the right values or not, we have used the other way out to trace down the points and you with that corresponding values, and we have used that way out as a feedback, feedback way, so that we can get to know that whether we are going in the right direction or not. So this is how we have merged the both the processes, and we have calculated the things. In this slide I would discuss how the properties of the points on the TS and TH diagram was calculated. There are basically 9 points, as we all can see, that is 1 2 3 4 4 dash 5 6 7 and 8. So I will be discussing the process for the important points only, because if I am going to discuss about all the points, then it would be taking a lot of time. So I will be discussing about 4 dash point 3 and point number 2. So starting with point number 4 dash. So this is a most important point, and with this point we are going to start off the total calculation. So so as we can see, the entropy for the point 4 dash 2 as well for 1 is same, as it's a perpendicular line, and we all know in this diagram, that is a TS diagram, or any perpendicular line, all the points come, all the entropies are same. So from that we have already got to the point 4 dashes entropy with the formula H4 dash is equals to H5 plus Cp T4 dash minus T5. With this formula we can calculate H4 dash, that is enthalpy of the point 4 dash, but for that we need to know the T4 dash, that is temperature at the point 4 dash. We have already got the entropy. Now with the another thermodynamic property that I have said, that is related to entropy, that is S4 dash is equals to S5 plus Cp ln T4 dash divided by T5. That using that property we can easily calculate T4 dash, as we already know that S5 we have already know from the saturated vapor line, because the 0.5 lies on that saturated vapor line. So we already so now using these two properties we can easily get the enthalpy, the entropy, and the temperature. Now coming to next point, that is point number 3. This point is one of the most important point. In order to calculate this point, we actually wanted that T4 dash temperature. We can look at the point 3 by using a formula. P3 is equals to root under P4 into P1 into T4 by T1, and in this formula we know all the values including T4 dash and all these things. So we have we will calculate P3. Now in order to get point 2, we would use the same technique how we have got point 4 dash and point 5, that is using the two thermodynamic properties, and away from these points there are other points. These other points are you can easily be get from saturated vapor and liquid table of ammonia. Coming to the next slide, now we will calculate the COP of the total system. So in order to get the COP of the system, we need the mass flow rate of the refrigerant, that would be also be useful while designing compressor. So we would need mass flow rate of the system, as well as we need the work done by the compressor. So work done by the compressor can easily be get from the formula displayed, as well as the mass flow rate. The mass flow rate would be getting from the formula. Now we need to convert the 6 ton into kilowatt. That's why we have multiplied it with that factor. Now after we get the mass flow rate and the value of work done, we can easily get the COP of the total system. Next we would get into the designing of all the other components, that is the compressors, the condensers, the evaporators, all these things. So and as well as we would also design a duct system. The duct system is one of the most important system that need to be designed.
In the experiment, we used 2 compressors, 2 condensers, evaporator, and throttling device. So why you use the compressor? we use the compressor to keep the pressure, to attain a pressure which is required. So here we take different the values of the pressure and the temperature, and then we use the cycle and we then use a chart. From the chart and interpolation, we find out the volume flow rate of the refrigerant, the mass flow rate, the specific volume, the number of cylinders required, and all the other parameters. So then we come to the evaporator, which is designed by me. So we have used bare tube evaporators. The bare tube evaporator was mainly used keeping in mind the cost effectiveness. So the evaporator we have used is air cooled. We have calculated the heat by the equation, by the energy balance equation. Then we have used the equation to find the exit temperature. We also assumed the inlet temperature of the air, so that we can find a feasible solution. So the evaporator we have used here, U is variable. So we have taken different values of U respectively and calculated according to the different values of U. As well as the condenser is also designed by me, and here we have used a double pipe counterflow type of condenser.
My topic is design of a component in this project. My first component is throttle valve. What is throttle valve? A throttle valve designed to regulate the supply of a fluid to an engine and operated by hand wheel, a lever, or automatically by governor pressure. And in this project, what is the work of the throttle valve? It assuming some necessary values, getting some values stored, calculating the stroke, and etc. And in this project, my second topic is condenser. What is condenser? Condenser assuming the water temperature. In this project, the working of condenser is assuming the temperature of water, getting the area of heat exchanger with energy balance equation, calculating the length of the refrigerator pipe with condenser and the length of the condenser which contains water.
Good morning, all of you. My name is Inzamam Ahmed. As my project is designing of cold storage, I am here to discuss only duct part or duct design. So first of all, I want to tell you what is function of duct system. The function of duct system is to transmit air from the air handling apparatus to the space to be air conditioned. To fulfill the function of the system must be designed in a prescribed limit, as we have to check the friction, what is the velocity, and what is the pressure of the air. Now, according to velocity, there are two types of duct: low velocity duct and a high velocity duct. And according to pressure, there are also two types of duct: low pressure duct and high pressure duct. And according to the types of air which is carried out in a duct system, there are three types. First is supply air duct, second is return air duct, and third is fresh air duct. Supply air duct is that duct when air is coming from an apparatus to the space where air is required to condition is called supply air duct. When that air comes to that apparatus or machine or HVAC system is called return air duct. And we also know some amount of fresh air we need to circulate in air conditioned. So that air, that duct which carried out the fresh air is called fresh air duct. Now comes to the most important things, economic factor that influence the duct layout. There are majorly two things that affect the whole duct system. The first is heat gain or loss, and the second is duct friction. Both are most important things. We have to care about these things because it's decide what is the price and how economic our ducts. Now coming to next slide. In this slide we show that what is the duct system, our actual duct system, and this is at the left side refrigeration unit, and at the right side we can see there are 4 chambers. And in the third slide we show the calculation for that unit. We basically calculate equal friction method by equal friction method. And let me tell you the first point, A point is called duct, and there is a B point, and that B point is called T, first goes in C and other goes straight, and D point is duct, and so on, which I mentioned in that chart. I can calculate volume flow rate, pressure loss, what is the velocity. Actually the initial velocity which we give is 5 meter per second. That is acceptable by ASHRAE and the whole physical world. And the other is what is the diameter of the duct, what is the length of the duct. All are calculated in this in this chart which I shown by equal friction method. At last, that's okay. Thank you.